March 11, 2004, Madrid, Spain. Coordinated explosions on 4 commuter trains killed 200 people and injured thousands more. It was 3 days before a national election, and then Prime Minister Jose Maria Aznar blamed homegrown terrorists, but not ones linked to radical Islam. He was half right. Yes, they were homegrown, but these terrorists were, in fact, radical Muslims carrying out violent jihad.
This is a new form of war. It's a new form of attacks.
Aznar told Fox News it was the beginning of a new era.
It's a new challenge for the first time in the history of the Western countries. Perpetrators of the attacks in Madrid live in Madrid. Perpetrators of the attacks in London live in London.
July 7, 2005, London. At 8:50 a.m., rush hour, 3 bombs explode on 3 different subway lines. An hour later, an explosion rips apart a double-decker bus. 52 die, hundreds more are injured. The bombers, once again, homegrown jihadists.
We love death the way you love life. What you have witnessed now is only the beginning.
He's right. June 29, 2007. In a case we told you about earlier, Scotland Yard thwarts a double car bomb attack at a popular London nightclub. The very next day, Kafil Ahmed and Bilal Abdullah drive a jeep packed with containers of gas into the main terminal at Glasgow International Airport. The jeep bursts into flames and the airport is evacuated. Abdullah, a doctor, and Ahmed, an engineer, detained minutes after the blast, were also implicated in the foiled London plots. They lived in the UK and had been radicalized by jihadist propaganda.
The crisis that Europe is facing now is going to be here very soon.
Wafa Sultan is a Syrian-born psychiatrist, former Muslim, and forceful critic of Islam, now living in Southern California.
The West has been turning a blind eye towards what the radical Muslims are doing in this country.
But to Hussam Ayloush of CARE, there are important differences between Europe and America.
Europe has allowed for many communities, Muslims, Africans, and others, immigrant communities, to be isolated and marginalized. In America, it's a very different story. America is a country of immigrants. So there has always been an acceptance. There has always been a process to accept those immigrants and integrate them.
I have been told numerous times that they are here to spread Islam and to replace the American Constitution with the Islamic Sharia.
Is fighting radical Islam religious bigotry? When Jihad USA returns after the break. If America is hit with another 9/11 type attack, it seems increasingly likely that the perpetrators will be homegrown jihadists who were raised here and radicalized here. So how far should we go to find them? And more importantly, to stop them? February 17, 2008, Tampa, Florida. Benjamin Baines from Clearwater is stopped at a security check in Tampa International Airport. He's carrying a number of books, including Muhammad in the Bible, the Noble Quran, the Prophet's Prayer, the Quran, and the Bible. But what caught the attention of airport security was this book, Fear Itself. Inside, the pages had been hollowed out to conceal a box cutter, the same type of weapon used by the 9/11 hijackers. Baines was indicted for attempting to board an airplane with a concealed dangerous weapon. He's free on bail. Baines' attorney told Fox that Baines' girlfriend mistakenly packed the book in his bag. Even if that's true, it seems inconceivable such an incident wouldn't have been all over the national news 5 years ago. Does this reflect an increasingly ho-hum attitude toward homegrown threats? New York Police Commissioner Ray Kelly thinks the public may be getting too complacent. But not the NYPD.
We investigate every lead that we get. I guess you could say that there's a lot of activity that the public doesn't know about.
Including high-tech surveillance and undercover informants, keeping tabs on potential Islamic terrorists before they attack. That was the recommendation of a provocative NYPD report on homegrown terror. The report analyzed cases in the U.S. and abroad, and it claims to find certain patterns in the radicalization process. It's a process in which otherwise ordinary citizens, who often are going through a personal crisis, begin looking to identify with a cause bigger than themselves. When some are exposed to radical Islam, the report says, they become more intense in their beliefs, eventually embrace jihadism, and are moved to act.
The NYPD report on terrorism may be the most advanced, the most sophisticated report issued by an agency of the U.S. government below the level of the National Intelligence Estimate.
The report was very disappointing.
Kareem Shora of the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee told me the report's methodology and conclusions were flawed.
The fact is they didn't study Muslim neighborhoods. What they did was they took case studies from overseas. And unfortunately, it's simply not the same thing.
Shora says Kelly's counterterrorism plan goes too far because it targets American Muslims in general and not the radical jihadists, who he admits do pose a threat.
There is a problem here. The problem is that there are radicals who have attempted to hijack the religion of Islam.
How do you keep the bad guys out or find them once they're here?
I think you make as many friends as possible in the Muslim community. You try to gain as many allies as you can gain. You don't need to alienate.
On the other side of the country, LAPD's counter-terror deputy chief, Michael Downing, claims that's what he's trying to do.
We're knocking on your door saying, hey, we want to help you create healthy, spirited communities and solve your problems so you don't have crime and disorder in your neighborhood.
But Downing has hit obstacles in his mission to stop the next terror attack before it happens.
LAPD.
In November 2007, he announced a plan to map the neighborhoods where radical jihadists might be living. Muslim groups joined by the ACLU protested.
This is nothing short of a profiling of the Muslim community. It is something that is totally unacceptable to not only Muslims, but anyone who cares about the civil liberties of all Americans.
So Downing scrapped his mapping plan. Wafa Sultan says the LAPD caved in to phony civil rights objections.
You need to infiltrate the Muslim community and gather as much information as you could and act upon them. Look at me, I am a Middle Eastern. My name sounds Muslim and I don't mind doing that.
Ultimately, though, vigorous police work can only do so much. Waleed Ferris says America must also aggressively fight the jihadist ideology.
We have been good enough in trying to contain the terrorists just before they strike. We haven't even begun the war of ideas.
Perhaps, Victor Davis Hanson worries, that's because Americans are not ready to do what it takes to win that war.
We have to be honest with the Muslim American community and say, you know what, we don't want to hear any more of this rhetoric.
You can't, if you're judgmental, you're a bad person. If you judge what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's bad, there's something wrong with you.
And that makes it very hard when we're fighting a group of die-hard terrorists who really do believe that we're decadent and inferior and want to kill us. It makes it very hard for us to accept that they are just not only different, but evil.
There seems hardly a region of the country that hasn't been touched by radical, homegrown jihadism. Right now, a debate is taking place in our land over how much we should spend and how far we should go to counter this menace. That is as it should be. But certain things should not be debatable. When those living here wish to destroy America, they become our enemies. And it is right that we take measures to stop them and confront their ideology. Now, so far, the damage homegrown terrorists have been able to inflict upon the country is small compared to 9/11. The challenge is keeping it that way. For more information, go to foxnews.com. And please email me with your comments at fncspecials@foxnews.com. Finally, I want to tell you about a terrific website where you can watch selected Fox News specials in their entirety, including ones I've hosted in the past. Go to hulu.com/Fox News Specials. We're posting new programs all the time. Well, that's our show. I'm Edie Hill. Thanks for watching.